of my home. Like the wares of Jayne and David Mugridge, who make award-winning fruit cordials using old family recipes from their Portsmouth kitchen, which are a hit all over southern England. Drinking these is like time travelling back to your school days. But grown-ups too will appreciate the unique flavours of these artisan fruit syrups.
We make quite a large range of cordials. We try to follow the seasons. We make a raspberry and elderflower, lemon and borage, lime and lime mint, all sorts of unusual things, rhubarb and ginger, which is very good as a soft drink, but equally good in gin and champagne.
You can cook with these cordials too. They make a mean marinade and add fruity flavour to sauces.
It's quite an interesting business to be in because it's changing taste.
Jayne's family have had an appetite for what you might call posh squash for over 100 years.
I've made cordials since I was little. They're from my grandmother's recipe, Grandmother Mabel. My grandmother used to be a cook in the 20s. She trained in a place called A.B. Marshall's in Mortimer Street, which was a cookery school and finishing school of its day. She came back and she started doing parties for lots of her title friends, for Lord and Lady Montagu, Rothschilds and the Drummonds, when Queen Mary used to come for dinner.
Today, Jayne's making orange and lemon cordial.
When you make a cordial, most of the time through the summer it's all soft fruits, but obviously this time of year we can't get soft fruits. So a good alternative is to have citrus because you need vitamin C to ward off the colds and things. If you roll the fruit back and forth in your hands, it releases the sinews in the fruit, so you get more juice out of them. Always make sure you get top quality fruit.
Grandma Mabel's recipe calls for thin-skinned fruit to be used whole rather than juiced, to add to the sharpness and to stop the finished product being sickly sweet.
Make sure it's all chopped up. Just pop it into a clean pan. And do the same again with the lemons. It's nice to have something you've made yourself. You know where it comes from, you know what it tastes like, you know what's in it, and you know it's not going to be bad for you.
Once the fruit has been blitzed, Jayne adds water and pops it onto the hob.
I was about 7 when we first made a cordial with my mum and dad. Dad grew it, Mum made it. Dad wasn't allowed in the kitchen because he burnt everything.
Luckily, Jayne's got her granny's gift for cooking and still makes this old-fashioned favourite the traditional way.
A sieve and muslin, almost the same as my grandmother Mabel would have used. Can't get any simpler than that. Such a pretty colour. Put your sugar in, and we add some citric acid.
The cordial just needs another blast of heat, then it's ready for bottling.
You want a clean flavour and something that bursts in on your palate when you drink it, so you know it's made with love. You have to make it with love. Truly artisan made.
It is indeed. Even their trusty kettle does overtime, steam sealing the bottles. These days, Jayne and David make up to 500 bottles a day and supply a range of businesses as well as doing farmers markets.
People are very surprised that we make it at home. They think we've got a huge unit, loads of people working for us, and they look quite bemused when we say, no, it's just us, my husband and myself.
And if the tasting at the local farm shop is anything to go by, this is a family who's doing the business.
I really enjoyed the raspberry one.
The blackberry certainly does. It reminds me of picking blackberries from the hedges, that sort of thing. So.
We like to be able to appeal to all ages, experiment and play with them really, so they can have fun. And that's what we're all about, having fun. It's quite cheeky.
You get the lime first and then chilli comes in. Yeah. Lime and chilli certainly took your breath away. You certainly noticed there was chilli in there, so that was good.
I love making things that my grandmother made, and my parents always said to me that one day I'd make my living from cooking. And I do. And I'm sure my grandmother and my mother and father are looking down and saying, yeah, she done it. She made it.
It's great to have such quality cordials nearby, especially as Jayne's come in with some for me to use for my raspberry jelly with lime syrup and homemade ice cream. A modern take on a kiddie party classic. This is kind of like a grown-up version of jelly and ice cream, using some of this amazing cordial that we've got there. So first of all, I'm going to make the jelly part of it. Step 1, make the sugar syrup by adding sugar into a pan of hot water. Whilst the sugar dissolves, soften some of the gelatine leaves in cold water. What have you brought along for me then?
This is rhubarb and ginger. Got some water in it to dilute it down. You go drink
Do you
it
need
neat.
water or you didn't drink it neat?
Water as a soft drink, but most chefs drink it neat.
Yeah, that is delicious. I always think with cordials, it literally coats your mouth as well with flavour. It's like the best fruit juice, isn't it, really? That hit. It's great. Keep going. And now I'm going to pour out a litre of my syrup into a bowl and save the rest to make a sauce later. Then I take out the soaked gelatin leaves and whisk them into the syrup, which will transform it into a set jelly. And now I need to flavour this, so we need to pick one. What's this one?
Raspberry and English elderflower.
Raspberry. I don't need to go any further. That's the one, isn't it? That is
Definitely.
fantastic. Got to have a bit of that. Which is this one? Is it this one? And you say you make about 500 bottles a day? 500 bottles a day, and you've got all that old kettles just sealing up all these.
That's my husband's job.
That's great, isn't it? Yeah. This is. Ollie's just stood there all day just doing that. You get all the glory. He gets all the. What a life, eh?
I feed him though.
Oh dear, oh, that's quite nice, isn't it? For about 12 hours a day in the kitchen. Right, this is like a grown-up version of jelly, so a little bit of vodka. Little bit of vodka. Right, we're going to make our little terrine now. And to make sure it turns out perfectly, oil the mould first before lining it with cling film. So when you press it in, it will stick to the mould. So once you get to that stage, you want some ice in the tray. Bit of water. And then this is the fun bit, really. It's a bit like making cordial. You can use whatever you want. So we take literally just a ladle full of this. And then you've got your fantastic raspberries here. The only one that you wouldn't really use for this is pineapple. It's got like an enzyme in it that sort of breaks down the jelly. And you can't really set it, especially with gelatine.
So you can use different fruits, different flavours and different alcohol bases then.
Don't go nicking the recipe, Jane. You know, we've seen it at a farmer's market, coming to a farmer's market near you.
Definitely.
Jayne's elderflower cordial terrine, as seen on TV. So which is the most popular one then?
Goosegogs.
Goosegogs? What the hell is that?
Gooseberries. It's the old name, gooseberries.
You see, I actually grow my own gooseberries down at the bottom of the garden, but the only thing that eats them is the dog.
Chickens like gooseberries.
Dog actually likes chickens as well.
OK then.
That and gooseberries is actually the idea of food heaven for him, really, yeah. But
What sort of dog?
I've got a spaniel, which eats anything, really. So the idea is you basically layer this up. You see, you've got one layer?
Yep.
Now, what you can do is keep it in the ice and you keep building it up. But what I've got in the fridge, just to show you, is I've got one here, you see?
So how long does that take to set the
Oh,
tray?
literally, when you've got warm jelly like this, it'll only take about 10 minutes. But this is a dish that if you've got time on your hands, then this is ideal. You keep layering this up.
So a pudding's your favourite then?
Well, I think so, really, yeah.
And butter? And cream?
What made you think that? I don't use much butter. What made you think that? There, and you just keep layering this all up. And ideally, you can pop it in the fridge in the ice. As you go, build it all up, build up all the layers, and you've got a lovely little treat. Now for our ice cream. Now, I'm sure Granny knew how to make ice cream. How do you make yours?
I make custard, proper custard.
Well, that's what I'm about to do. Do you know the recipe off by heart?
No.
Come on, Granny knew the recipe off by heart. 1 litre of proper custard is 8 eggs, all right? Now, the more egg yolks you put in, the richer the ice cream will become. The more sugar you put in, the thinner the ice cream will become.
Really?
Because sugar will act as a defrosting agent.
Right.
So the more sugar you add, softer the ice cream will become.
Do you use whole milk or semi-skimmed?
Semi-skimmed, what's that? Hey? Semi-skimmed?
Well, some people might be health conscious. You never know.
Jayne, north of Hampshire, it doesn't happen.
Okay.
All right? Double cream, full fat milk. And then what we do is take some vanilla. This is technically a spice, so it's part of your 5 a day.
And you've got your fruit part as well?
Exactly. Now, the important bit is the sugar. You need to measure this exactly, and this is where the recipe, really, with ice cream, can go terribly wrong. And you need 8 ounces of sugar, new money, which is ½ pound in old money, or how many grams?
I only do pounds.
Ah, got you. So it's basically 225 grams of sugar.
I haven't got one of those either. I've got one with...
Have you got one of those with all weights on it?
Yes. I'm that old-fashioned.
See, I had one of those in the bathroom. It gave you a false reading all the time. That's where it's been going all wrong all the time.
That's what my husband says.
What you mustn't do is actually throw the sugar into the egg yolks too soon, because it will burn. It's really a common mistake when people are making this, particularly cakes and sponges. They add that to the sugar. You mix it all together and you end up with these little yellow pieces that you can't get rid of. It's because the sugar is actually curing the egg yolks. It's cooking it. So what you must do is keep them separate until this starts to come to the boil. Now we add the sugar to the mix. Now, I'm using a fancy ice cream machine like this, not like Granny had, where she had to stir it around probably every 20 minutes out of the freezer, but as much... Sorry?
Wooden with a china insides, and they had ice because from the ice houses.
Was it?
Yeah.
Have you still got that as well?
No.
You bring this to the boil and just pour it in, mix it together, and really it's this next part that's quite crucial. You can tell when it's going to be ready as it starts to get thicker and thicker and thicker. The bubbles will start to disappear, then it's at the right temperature. Now at this point we can take the whole lot, pour it straight into our bowl, take out our vanilla pod, save that for another day. It only takes half an hour to freeze in my modern machine, which is ample time for me to rustle up a little something that will take this dish to the next level. Right, we've got the remaining syrup here. What we're going to do with this is just make a lovely sauce with this. All I'm going to do is choose another one of Jayne's cracking cordials, this time lime and mint for a bit of contrast, and warm it up. I want a clear sauce, so I'm going to use arrowroot powder instead of corn flour to thicken it, and I dissolve that into the syrup I saved earlier. Lime zest will perk it up no end, and once you've added the thickened syrup to the hot cordial, throw in the lime zest, and that's your sauce sorted. Yeah, taste that. Dip your finger in there.
It's lovely.
Well, you see?
Very nice. So it's quite a soft jelly.
Very, very soft. You don't want it to taste like jelly you used to have when you were a kid. Just chuck it away from the wall. It used to bounce back and...
And slugs in brown sugar.
What on earth is slugs? I'm learning stuff today. What on earth is slugs in brown
Did you
sugar?
ever have tapioca and semolina at school?
No, I went away from that sort of stuff. I said I was full at that point. See, it's a bit different to my Gran's jelly and ice cream. But with your Gran's recipe for cordial, it kind of makes it better, doesn't it, really?
It's lovely, absolutely gorgeous.
Go on then, dive in. I can cope with criticism.
You can.
I've spoken to your husband, I know what you like.
It's really nice.
Can't criticise that, can you?
You can't, it's really nice.
There's a lot of vodka gone in there as well. I'm so glad Jayne's here. Jelly and ice cream, however much you tart it up, isn't for eating on your own. It's food for sharing with others.